And hello, it's another exciting, adventurous episode of Old People's Complaint Desk. And this time, what we're going to talk about? Well, so you're 45 years old and you don't want to listen to a bunch of old people complaining. What good is it? God, you really? You want to listen to a bunch of old people complain? Yeah, you do. I had to recently declare my audience because, there's promotion, this is YouTube and all the rest of the stuff. So, okay, throw a few bucks at promotion. And there's a little slider for the age group that you're going to talk with. Starts at 18, goes to 70, stops at 70. Why does it stop at 70 when my audience is supposed to be at 70? Well, I moved the slider up to 45 years as far as starting. So 45 years to 70-year-old group. What happens after 70? I guess you're not supposed to be watching the YouTube or Facebook or any of the computer stuff because it's so old, right? So I start at 45. Why do I want someone 45 years old listening to this stuff? And why would that person want to listen to a bunch of old people complain? Why? Well, I'll tell you why. 45, 55, 65, 70. By the time you're a Septuagenarian, it's going to be 25 years. That 25 years is going to set you up for how you're going to live when you're my age, a 70-year-old. Yeah, maybe if you're a trust child, trust fund child, you don't have to worry about anything of the sort. Your future is going to be what the last 4 generations was if you got old money. And if not, then what? You're basically going to be making it between now, 45 years old, and 70. And when you get to 70, it's going to define how you're going to live the rest of your life. So you've got 25 years to build yourself up to a certain point to where, Now, I have no secrets as to what it's going to take for you to be able to retire in a nice place and enjoy yourself, not have to work and become a recluse and do these ridiculous videos all over the place, right? So you're going to have 15 years to do that in. And now, if you listen to people complain when they're 70 years old, you're going to hear about their complaints in regards to financial aspects, financial matters, so that can help you prepare, right? If you sit there and take out a few different topics of what transpired because of financial success or failure, you got some foreknowledge. Body. I already told you about how my ears are shot. Because when I was younger, I was in a rock and roll band and we didn't wear hearing protectors. We just stuck our heads next to that amplifier and boom, I played the bass guitar. I liked all bass and it was loud, right? So you might decide to start taking care of your hearing at that age because it's not too late when you're 45, although in my case it was. Okay, so you might not end up with having to wear hearing aids. What else about the body? Oh, gee, there's certain aspects of the body in ligament structure, bone, joints, etc., etc. You have any idea what goes on when you're 45 years old and how it turns into a problem when you're 75 years old or 70 years old? Yes, I did martial arts. Competitive. 1 year of competitive, all right? All the other stuff was just martial arts because I worked in Europe and I enjoyed it. I worked in Asia and I enjoyed it and I wanted to go to Europe, but I never got around to it. So, martial arts, something to pass the time besides drinking whiskey and chasing women. So, but I have this little thing over here, right around here, and I don't know what it is, but all I can tell you is that if I try to push that way, that's a tricep extension. It hurts. It's kind of like non-movable band that's stuck there. Why? Martial arts. What do you do in martial arts? You punch people. And how many times did I go like that? How many times do you think I went like that? But as fast as I can, I don't know. But might have something to do with this. And then when you go like this and you stop, you're going to hit a body or hit air or you're going to hit a board. How many times did I hit the board? I don't know, because you just toughen yourself up by hitting a board all the time. Not that you're going to break it or nothing, right? Because it bends anyway. So what do you think's going on over here and in these joints here because of doing that all the time, right? they teamed me up with black belts to fight all the time. And there was a Samoan group, a couple kids, a brother and sister, were very big for being in high school and right out of high school, and they always teamed me up with the brother and sister act. And this, every now and then I'd block wrong, so I'd get kicked, and it would take this finger and bend it backwards, and I couldn't move it into regular position. It had to get popped in the regular condition. So what do you think is going on with my arthritis and my knuckles? Yeah. So would that want to stop me from doing martial arts? Because I use that for a form of exercise and focus. Plus, I didn't want to be, uncoordinated. So maybe, I don't know. I would think about it. But there are definitely some things that I would think about in the future as far as getting hooked, getting set up from when I was 45 years old. Let's say companions and companionships, wives, women, people that you're going to be hanging around with for all that stuff. Friends. It's nice to have friends when you're 70 and hanging out. You can go and have coffee and go play bocce ball. Well, if you start setting that up when you're 45 years old, you might have a pretty good situation when you're sitting down there at 70. Mm-hmm. You may decide that you don't even want to live in this country and you'll go to some other country, which we'll talk about in a future video as to the lessons of carefree and stress-free living in countries other than the United States. Yes. We'll talk about that. So you might want to sit there and say, I've been listening to these old people complain all the time, and they're talking about having to try to retire in the United States and see what kind of difficulty it is, especially when it comes to health care. So, I might start to go and buy some property over in some country in Western Asia, Eastern Europe, Northwestern Europe, and cultivate it, rent it out, and then when I'm of a certain age, move in, gain residency, and get into their health care system, which is the belief that everyone has a right to health care from cradle to grave. Whereas here, you have a right to health care if you can pay for it. And when you're 70 years old and you want to pay for health care, it might be a challenge. But if you're 45 years old, you can stave off that challenge and hit it. Yeah. So there are a lot of things that you can find out when you're 45 years old and hoping to be 70 years old at one time, and you could kind of like a small course change here and there, wiggle and wangle around to set yourself up to where you're ready. You got it. You can do it. You can do it the way you want to do it. How do you want to do it? I don't know. How do my friends do it? My colleagues who are over 70. This guy over here, been in the same house for 35 years. He works a few days a week when he can, when he wants to, and until his knees give out. This other one over here had a company. Kept buying companies, working them, and finally he said, I'm going to sell this company and retire. Poop! Retired. Sold his company. Lives in another country. Has a foreign wife. Wife born in another country. Yep. Stress-free living. How about another one? Finally gave up and said, I had enough of this stuff and just quit. Said, I'm retired. No prep, no nothing. Boop, quit, retired, boom. Another country, enjoying himself, having a good time, where you deal with an entirely different dynamic and culture as far as being old. We'll hit this in another video. But did you know that in other countries, when you are a Septuagenarian like me and people see you, they immediately associate you with dignity, respect, etc., etc., etc. What do they do here in the States? You're invisible. Yeah. And we want your estate. So why don't you get sick and go have some normal old people problems, and we'll charge you the fees for your health, and we'll end up taking all of your money and your house and everything, because you don't need to give that stuff to your kids and grandkids and future generations. Give it to me. I'm a hospital system. Gotcha? You see what I'm getting at? There are a lot of little details that at 45 years old, I did not foresee. But now at 70 plus, a Septuagenarian, I see what those little details mean. And the difference between knowing the details and setting yourself up and not knowing the details and counting on luck, or you can be another one that I know who just sits there in an apartment, lost all physical abilities because of laying on a couch, and is just simply waiting for the day when he can finally kick the bucket because there ain't nothing left for him. So you start thinking about it. If you're lucky, you're going to be 70. If you're not lucky, hey, you might not. Then don't worry about it. If you're really lucky, you'll be lucky in a lot of other ways, and you'll get set up for when you're 70 without even knowing about it. It just happened. You can do that, all right? Now, if all of this interests you, once again, I should move the promotion section to the beginning, but go ahead and please subscribe. Please subscribe. I'd love to see number of subscribers. And if this is helpful, if you're my age, if you're a septuagenarian and you have a kid who thinks he's immortal, unbreakable, and just money comes to their fingers even though they're living in the basement of your house, then you might want to give this to your kid and share it. Okay? So that's a little snippet about what it's like to be 45 years old and why you might want to sit there and listen to a bunch of old people complain. Because old people complaining gives forewarning to those who are younger to prepare themselves for when they're old so that they don't have those complaints that I'm complaining about. You don't want these complaints. You don't want to know about this arthritis and this hand over here and this elbow over here and this body and my left hip is always blown up because of what? Because of something. You can adjust that so that when you are 70, you may not have half of the problems. Okay, so, hey, if you're my kid, I'd be telling you the same thing, but they're not going to listen. So, okay, that's enough of this. I'll see you later. I'm going to go. Now, don't forget to share this thing, and please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. All right? Okay. Bye now.